and welcome to the Sounder created out of the Sounder of Lady Hoggers. As always, I am Molly of the Copper Penny Farm. And again, as always, I'm here with my friends. Say hello, friends.
Hello, friends. I am Laura Jensen, the pig nerd. I wear a lot of hats with the Maison to my retail store. What is happening in my world? Finally making progress on the Hassett charcuterie. That is the special licensing I have to have in place to be able to go forward with this wholesale charcuterie.
Okay.
So that's good. My processor's been going through a fair amount of changes, and that's always a tough one. I was talking to another pig friend about it, and they're like, "What are you going to do? Are you going to leave?" And I was like, you don't just leave your processor. It's kind of like breaking up a relationship. You really really need to think long and hard about it. So great conversation with them and some things that we can work on through the retail store today. They're heavily invested in Wagyu, and I think that's a really interesting concept to pair with the Maison in terms of kind of the high standard out there. Personally, did my taxes, waiting to hear back from the accountant on that, and looking for a long weekend soon, I hope. And then got another class like we talked about on the last episode. Just a couple seats left in that whole hog class on November 5th. So yeah, that's my life. How about you, Amanda? What you got going on?
Well, I'm Amanda Buck with Buck Family Ranch, and I have just, as we were talking before we started recording, just been working on a branding and marketing strategy for our ranch and just trying to get scrappy and get things figured out. So, um, we did have our farm in North Carolina, and we're building and growing with that, and felt like we had kind of found our little place within our community, and we're just trying to expand upon that. And now we're out here and starting from scratch. So I am just working on that with Kellen working full time and me being at home with our kids. I feel like it's more on me than it is on him. And it's also more my thing than it is his. I feel like we've kind of talked about this before, where I feel like I'm more like the farmer and he's the farmer's husband instead of the farmer's wife.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just been working on that, just trying to get those things figured out, and still working on trying to make progress with our house, staying on track with school because we do homeschool. And I feel like with all the things I've been working on and house things, and school sometimes gets put on the back burner, which probably sounds awful to say. But really, kids learn all day long, whether you've got books in front of them or not. So, but yeah, that's more or less what we have been working on. It's starting to cool off. We
I
had
see you got
seven.
a boggin on today.
Yes.
And you're so cute, by the way.
So this is a huge thing. Last year when we moved here, our cousins who live across the road from us, they have a business where they do like laser engraving, and they make leather patches that you can put on a toboggan. So I'd asked them, this was as they were just kind of getting into it, and I was figuring out what products they had available. I was like, do y'all do toboggans? Because I would love to have a hat patch on a toboggan. And she's like, do they mean a sled?
Oh yeah.
Toboggan, like you wear in your head. And she's like, oh, you mean a beanie? And I was like,
A
no.
beanie,
Who calls them a beanie?
They
right?
call them beanies out here, but to me,
Mm-mm.
it's a toboggan or a boggin. Like that's what we call it.
Right?
No, here, that's a sled. So
Hmm.
yeah, a little
Funny.
bit of Idaho culture there for you this morning. But anyway, it
Yeah.
is starting to cool off. We had 70s earlier this week, and now we have hit the point where it's like 50s, very low 60s for the next 2 weeks. So
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
lows consistently in the 30s, and it won't be long. It won't be long.
Yeah.
What about you, Molly? What have
Well,
you?
I got so much shit going on. I feel like, but then again, I'm like, I don't know if I really do or if I'm just imagining things. I, like, I don't know. Yesterday was kind of wild because if y'all know, I do have some dairy cows, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I do have some dairy cows, and they don't like to stay home. Um, so they went missing for quite some time, but they were on this other man's farm, and all was good. I brought them back, and they were with me for maybe a month, and they would disappear. So like they would go up into the mountain, and I could hear them up there. I knew they were up there, and then they would come back down like 2 weeks later, right? Well, they went missing, and I was like, oh, okay, well, they're probably just up on the mountain. And no, I got a call yesterday from the real fancy horse farm. Yeah, the ritzy people that got the ritzy horse equine ranch up there. That my cows are in their field. So yeah. They were like, basically get your peasantry animals off of here. I was like, oh, they kept listen, it was hilarious though, because they found out like actually where I lived at, and they come down there, and I think they were like, what in the hell? Because there's hogs everywhere, there's just like shit everywhere. I mean, it's a mess down there. And they were like, yes, we are from the I won't say their name. And I was like, oh, this can't be good.
I hope you pulled out the strongest accent you had.
And I was like, I mean, I was just myself, you know, and I think I scared them, but it is what it is. So yes, my cows have been eating real fancy field dressings, and they want them gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I think my phone cut out. Okay, I got a call. So yeah, they want them gone. So I got to go get them.
Okay.
We'll do that on Friday. I told him, I was like, I need like 2 days because my water is still fucked, and I'm bathing in a creek in October. So can you give me like 2 days?
They didn't know what to say, I'm sure.
No, the man was like, you're bathing in the creek? Like, fuck yeah, man. What else am I going to do? Right. I can't go to bed dirty.
That's right. That's right. Not after messing with all these hogs all day. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Give us the program. Give us the program.
Hardcore Appalachia right there.
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you. I would be such a catch for a man that has lived in the mountains for like 30 years and never come out to society.
You got it going.
I don't know that you could be tolerated. I don't know. I think you may be a little too feral for that.
I might be too feral for even that, you know. he's like this bitch right here. I'd rather be alone in the mountains.
That's right. I'll go find me a wild boar and wrestle that for I'll tangle with her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that.
Anyways, all right. So now that we've done a little bit of that, today we took a break on the last podcast a little bit and just got down to like some reality, just some life in general. But today we're going to go back to talking about the food, man. You know, doesn't everybody love food?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the food system and the new bioengineered products.
There's the label we're talking about that you'll see on stuff.
Yes, that fancy label. So y'all ready to talk about it?
Let's roll.
Yep.
Let's roll. All right. So let's start off with Laura or Amanda, whichever one. Give us a little breakdown because we do have some articles. We tried to bring in some articles with some actual factuals besides our tinfoil shit. So
all right. So first of all, the thing that I wanted to know is what the hell does this mean? What is bioengineered food and where is this coming from? So a good Google search through an agricultural marketing service defined it well, saying that the standard defines bioengineered foods as those that contain detectable genetic material that has been modified through in vitro rDNA techniques and for which the modification could not otherwise be obtained through conventional breeding or found in nature. So Frankenfood, I don't
Yeah.
know. What do y'all think about that?
Dude, I think it's alarming.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting in that too, that last little bit there where they say it could not be done, the breeding could not be done conventionally or found in nature. That to me says it has to be done via man or like in a lab setting or something. Do you think that's what that implies, Laura?
Absolutely, absolutely, especially when it talks through in vitro recombinant, and I'm not even going to try to butcher that next word, but rDNA
Yeah.
techniques. I mean, essentially, this is being done in a lab. You know, they're modifying the foods before they're ever put into production. And you know, the other question is where did this come from? Is this something new? What's going on? It sounds like the old GMO debate that we've had for years and years. And effectively, I think that's what it is. It's some branding and marketing for GMO products. And this is from an article, the same article that says on January 1st of 2022, the USDA implemented a new U.S. bioengineered food disclosure standard. So that's where it's coming from. There's been new laws essentially put into CFRs. And if y'all don't know what CFRs are, they are now my Bible. That is the Code of Federal Regulation. That is federal level processors have to use them. And so that's kind of the driving source. And that CFR talks about cornstarch, canola oil, soy, lecithin, if I'm saying that right, are probably some of the bigger ones. So
Yeah.
how do y'all feel
Well,
about that debate, that old GMO and this and all that crazy?
well, I think that it goes back to like the question I told you all that my friend Jason said. He was like, what has changed to where, because this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, this is not a new thing. It's just a new label, a new way to identify it, essentially.
Yes. But what has brought it around for it to now have to be specified?
Well, you want the official answer or the tinfoil tiara answer?
Oh, you know what? I don't want official, because official really isn't.
Amanda, I see that smile. You want to talk?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think that it is interesting, like you were saying, Molly, like why are they feeling like they need to further label this? I think some of it on a more PC level could be because they are sick and tired of people going, oh, it's got GMOs in it. We have to get away. No GMOs. We don't want GMOs. So because people have picked up on the GMO label, they now are saying we gotta do something about this.
Yeah, we got to brand it with something else. We can't have that anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's, in my opinion, if you are not reading the bioengineered when you're looking at the label and you're seeing like a field of crops, like the label itself is pretty. So I feel like you might look at that and be like, oh, it's a farm thing. And like not even like bioengineered, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my thought on that. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. That is my thought on it, though. That would be my take on that. Oh, the other thing I was going to point out is based on the definition, like we've had people kind of mention before, like, well, couldn't you consider like selectively breeding a form of bioengineering? Well, you might consider that a form of bioengineering, but this specific label is about things done that could not be done via nature or conventionally. So
Right. I mean, there's the argument that selective hog breeding is essentially genetically
right,
modified.
right.
But
And maybe to
yeah,
a certain could view it that way. But that is, in my opinion, practicing proper animal husbandry. That is not, maybe there's a blurred line there between bioengineering and animal
But
husbandry.
but I mean, but I think that argument is cut, because if you are selectively breeding your animals, right?
Yeah,
They are in action on ground breeding.
correct.
right.
Or even if you do artificial insemination, right?
Right,
That is taking a natural product, sperm,
right.
you
Mhm.
know, and you're using that in the way that an animal is designed to be bred, right?
Right.
So this specific definition, like like both y'all have already said, it already says not of nature.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Essentially lab produce artificial things. And I think that's everybody's big rub with this. Because as this article goes on why are GMOs dangerous, it talks about, because you're producing things in labs and there's no accountability for how the human body will receive or react to it. There's some thoughts that this is where we're becoming immune to antibiotics. um, they don't know. It goes on to say how the GMO's DNA will react to DNA in people, animals, or the environment, and unforeseen allergies in people and animals are consequences to the food chain of a particular ecosystem, as examples. Now, how about that? How many times have we said, where are these allergies coming from?
Well, to me, I mean, it's like the kids who were dirty all growing up, growing up.
Yep. Those farm kids. What
Yeah,
is it? God
it's
made
like,
dirt, dirt won't hurt.
yeah,
Literally,
you know,
my kids yesterday, like they look like a bunch of homeless ragamuffins because they're covered in dirt. I'm like, you're either gonna have really healthy immune systems or you're gonna have worms. One of the two. I'm not sure.
yeah,
We can
yeah.
treat worms.
yeah, yeah. But I think, that's kind of like what it goes to. It also, you can go on another realm too. I mean, realm also. Like me and my sister, we always talk about, we don't really get sick a whole lot because we was breastfed.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
We
Yeah.
we got, and you can see that in animals, right? You can see the
Absolutely.
difference. You can see a difference in an animal that didn't nurse on its mommy, that you had to raise on a formula, from an animal that actually got nature from its mother.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I think it all reverts back to that. Why we're having so many issues right now with all this stuff is because what we are ingesting isn't natural. You know, it's not what our body should be intaking. We're trying to create that, and that's not the way it works.
Right. And to follow that train of thought, what happens next when our body ingests these things, these lab produced things that are not natural to us? Where does it go? What happens?
Yeah.
I think, weren't you, Amanda? I think you had some thoughts on that in terms of, did you say free radicals and things
Yeah.
like that might be where that comes from?
I think that when you are ingesting things in your body and your body doesn't know what to do with it, it's like what I immediately think of is free radicals floating around in your body. And free radicals ultimately are a known cause of cancer. So some of the things that can help get rid of free radicals in your body are antioxidants. Well, some of the best antioxidants are found through Mother Nature's products.
Hmm.
So I don't know, food is just such an interesting thing because it's so intricate on so many different levels, but it's also so simple. Like if you are giving your body simple nutrition, you are going to most likely be healthy. You're going to feel good. You're not going to have like all these things going on. So like, we were talking also before we started recording about people with gluten sensitivities and gluten allergies and things like that, and how that is so rampant here in the US.
Yeah.
And when you
Yes.
look at our food source, when we have like genetically modified wheats and things that contain gluten, um, our bodies don't know what to do with it. Between
Yeah.
between the bioengineering going on with those things and the chemicals being used, I mean, even we're getting exposure to that. We're ingesting it, we're being exposed to those things, and our bodies don't know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
typically a reaction to things is you either have an allergic reaction, you have vomiting, you have diarrhea, you have things that are telling you something's going on, skin conditions, whatever it may be. So yeah, I think that one of the things with these bioengineered foods and ingredients and things like that, in my opinion, the more foods that we eat that are processed and kind of like created by man, the less better myself and my family feels. I will give you this
Yes.
example. So we have been eating kind of animal-based carnivore-ish since January. Well, in these last couple of weeks with our budgeting and stuff, I have had to stray from that a little bit. And so we've been eating a couple meals a week that aren't as animal based as we would prefer them to be. So we have had some pasta and some things like that that we wouldn't typically be eating because it's inexpensive. And as a result, my husband, he has psoriasis and he has had the worst flare up. He now has it all over his face. He's always got it on his elbows and his knees, but he's now getting new patches popping up in places, like I said, all over his face. And it's like a mega flare up. I truly believe as a result of eating these foods that I
Mhm.
know ingredients in them that have been genetically modified.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the same way. If I eat gluten within 3 days, my hands will be cracked and splitting and bleeding, and the
Yeah,
psoriasis is back. And that was the turning point for my family to realize, no, I'm not just being picky. This is something that it's a real thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I really think that the thing about man trying to play God and tampering with these foods is we're going to see the cause and effect of that. We've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen it for forever, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, for forever. But at the same time, they don't want us they don't want us to not consume it
No.
because consuming it is feeding money to pharmaceuticals and feeding money into all these other things. It's just a string along
Yeah.
of a money chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how uh, big food production and big pharma are not together. I don't know how they can't
They
be
have to be.
when you look at what's really happening.
Well, I
They
think
have.
when you look at the link between the USDA and the FDA, the things that the FDA will allow and that the USDA goes along with, that's the link right there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
And
definitely.
and the restrictions placed, through FDA, through USDA, the restrictions that are placed there is making it even harder for one to consume what they need to consume.
Every time we do one of these episodes, it just feels like the noose is getting tighter. What exactly are we supposed to be able to eat that's okay, that's not gonna, cause these outbreaks, these flare-ups, these health issues?
Yeah.
It's really disheartening.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, if you
go
don't
ahead,
see the
Amanda.
even if you don't see the health issue taking place now, what's it going to create long term down the road?
Yeah.
Well, right, right. We've talked about labeling before, and I can talk about food labels at a nauseating extent. And the reality is, if you're not sick, when you eat something from me and you don't get sick right away, they're good, they're clear. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's building up in your system. It doesn't matter that it's unhealthy for you long term. Nobody looks at that. Nobody cares about that largely.
Well, it's also like that. Was it Denise that shared that this morning?
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know if y'all want to hear some of that. Keep talking, Molly, and if you do want me to share that and talk about it, I can pull it up here on my phone.
I found it to be bizarre, right? And this is just me kind of taking a left, I guess. But 90% of what is listed. So Denise shared a thing today on Denise, it's Hardin, right?
Yeah, yeah, she's my store manager and social media maven.
Yeah.
And yeah, she shared a Facebook post of over 60 products with bioengineering involved, suggesting start reading the labels if you hadn't been, because it's tough.
But did you notice that 90% of those things are children's food?
They are, and they're manufactured processed foods at the end of the
Yes.
day too.
Yeah.
Y'all
It's
want to
like,
hear some of them?
yeah, because it's like cookies. It's like child snacks and cereals and stuff like that.
Number one, goldfish.
Yeah.
The next one is Snyder's honey mustard pieces,
Yep.
peanut M&Ms, Honey Nut Cheerios, Raisin Bran, Pillsbury chocolate chip cookie dough. Whoo, here's two big ones, y'all. Oreos and Pop-Tarts are on it. SpaghettiOs, Lance crackers, Cocoa Puffs, Ritz crackers, Fruit Loops, Cheez-Its, Coffee Mate. This is a hazelnut creamer. Campbell's chicken noodle soup, Pillsbury cinnamon rolls that you bake yourself, Red Baron classic crust pepperoni pizza, Campbell's beef gravy, Hungry Jack light and fluffy complete pancake mix, Nutty Buddies, Betty Crocker fudge brownies, Great Chocolate Chip Cookie Crisp, Lean Cuisine, Chips Ahoy, Yoo-Hoo, Hidden Valley Ranch, Skittles, Supreme Skittles, Pepperidge Farm Pumpernickel Bread, Publix Cookies and Cream Ice Cream, Honey Made Graham Crackers, Sweet Baby Ray's, Bluebell Ice Cream, Vanilla, Cinnamon Chex, Snickers, Oreo cereal, a pancake syrup, some honey buns, Jolly Ranchers. I mean, I think y'all kind of get the point here of that's a lot of household brands there.
It's a lot of household stuff. How many kids do you know that eat fucking goldfish? They give those out in church.
Yeah. Oh, hey, and look at this one. This Clabber Girl. What is that? Bacon powder. Look what's on the shelf below that. It's okay because it's gluten free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I said they give them out. They give them out in church, and Amanda's over there dying like.
I'm like between that and like vanilla wafers. Those things are real popular at church too.
It is, man.
Yes, they are. Yeah, and so to me that begs the question of why are all those brands that way? And to dig deeper, this article goes on to say that more than 90% of U.S. grown corn, soybeans, sugar beets are genetically modified. So that means that many processed foods containing high fructose corn syrup, beet sugar, or soy protein may fall under the new disclosure standards. Other whole foods in the USDA's list of bioengineered foods, such as certain types of eggplants, potatoes, and apples, may also carry that label.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, it's literally like, why even go to the store now?
And you know, y'all know I work really hard down at my retail store to be as clean as possible. And as we were doing this research this morning, I was like, holy crap, I got to go check my, my buttermilk and cream cheese and things like that. And I had a store meeting before this started, and I was telling the crew about it, and they're like, that's awful. And I said, what's more awful is where do we go next? So I've got a food in production, and if those have these labels on them, I don't really know what my next option is. And now we're talking about business and revenue and employees and things like that. And it's scary to me.
But it's going to get to the point where you are going to have to ingest it. You're going to have to buy it.
Well, it's like when we were talking about mRNA. You know, the reality is if you're eating out and you're eating anything pork and maybe some beef, you may have already ingested it. Some vegetables, you may have already ingested it. So although this article says that the way to avoid it is to buy non-GMO verified products or organic, we all know that that's not always the case. That's not the answer.
No, the non-GMO and the organic shit's a bunch of bullshit.
It can be. I think some are legit, but I think organic is not meant for us. I think organic is for the big guys. We can't afford it. You know, a $700 licensing fee. I mean, come on, how many small farms can do that? And that was pre-COVID. I don't even know what it is now.
But you know, I mean, it could be a whole another episode on the the regulations and stuff on what certifies something organic.
I would love to talk about that. It would give me an opportunity to research it too. Yeah, let's do that.
So maybe, that goes on to maybe we take that into another episode and then really show people, what the fuck you're spending $30, $40 on. That's really like a $10 product, all because of this label, and it's a bullshit label.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the only answer is grow it yourself, or know
Yeah.
somebody that's doing
Yes.
it clean and local,
Know
I
your
mean,
farmer.
yep,
Yes.
know your farmer. That's right.
As
At
in,
no time in the history of humans, I don't think it's more important. These foods are so jacked up.
yeah.
I just find it bizarre that a lot of these things are coming in together. Lab grown meat is hit the market. Now we're changing labeling on shit. And we got buyer. That's my hillbilly coming out right there. We got that buyer engineer, you know. But we got the lab grown meat. And then now we've got this bioengineered. You got Tyson changing up their entire labeling, their entire process. They're not antibiotic free or whatever. What they label it as?
uh, I got that right over here from the other day.
Not important to humans.
Not important.
All natural, I think was what it had to do. Antibiotics move criticized, reintroduces some antibiotics into its chicken supply chain and removing the no antibiotics ever label.
Yes.
And just in case you need to know how on fire the food system is, one of our listeners, Cheryl, sent me a note that Smithfield is closing another plant. What's that
Yes, they
about?
are. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. There's so many things going on right now.
Yeah.
Well, there is, which I didn't know the other day, that Purdue owned. Is it Neiman's? The pastured pork out west.
I'll have to dig that back out, but yeah, we were talking about all that. All those notes are here.
Yeah, Purdue is on that. You got Tyson changing everything. You got Tyson's actually shutting down some factories.
Yeah.
Huh.
You got Smithfield shutting down shit. We got lab grown meat. Now we got bioengineered labeling. Now it's like everything is coming to a point where it's like we're being squeezed,
Well,
I don't know. I feel like it's more than squeezing. I think we're being forced.
yeah.
Oh no, we are.
Yeah.
Because every time we do one of these, it's less options. At the end of the day, it's less things that we can have faith in and peace in knowing that we're consuming something that really is good for us. That's what we keep finding is none of it's really good for us.
One of the biggest disappointments I've heard on here is motherfucking Nathan's hot dogs.
That one sticks. That one, that's everywhere I go. Everybody is like, your hot dogs are great. I'm going to talk to Nathan's and tell them you got them beat. I was like, well, call China.
Yeah. I hope you got overseas. What's that called on your phone? You got to change it over when you go across.
Oh yeah. International calling. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you got international calling.
Yep.
But it's like but we said this earlier too when it was just us three talking. We are feeling the pressure all around. We're feeling the pressure from our food. We're feeling the pressure from our housing situation. We're feeling it from land. We're feeling it from gas, from growth. We're feeling it from so many things. Like, how is the common man, the common woman supposed to thrive?
I don't think we're meant to thrive anymore. And it is a really sad thing. I mean, all of us have land and we have things on our land that we can produce and eat. What about the people that just simply can't?
Yeah.
They don't have the money to do it. They don't have the location to do it.
Yeah.
It's as if they're being trapped into, what they can do. I mean, for us, this whole bioengineering label came up for us with Kraft mayo. That's no, not Kraft, Hellman's mayo. I use Kraft, thank God, and it doesn't have it, but Kraft mayo. And so our first thing, Bill's first thing is cool. We'll just make our own mayo. Not a big deal. And that, I mean, anybody can do that. That's a simple thing.
But on that thing though, that with all the list of all the bioengineered shit and stuff on there, somebody did comment. What everybody needs to realize is that you can make these things on your own.
You can. I think it's getting out of that marketing mindset. I've talked about that before, that we're all part of the big machine. We are all a number in marketing, advertising. They know how to make us pull the trigger and go buy that stuff. And it's tastes good. what is it we're programmed for? Fat, salt, and sugar. Well, I mean, look at Oreo. It's pretty good stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's
We like-
the acknowledgement, I think, and I think we help that a lot in our conversations here. And I hope that we're inspiring others to look at their food choices different.
You know, I think with this too, we have become a nation of instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
That when you are able to buy convenience foods off the shelves, take it home, add some oil, water, and eggs and bake it, and you've got a pan of brownies and you can instantly eat that and enjoy it instead of putting together your own brownie mix that's time consuming. You got to make sure you got all the ingredients. And, you know, I think it's the convenience, instant gratification. That's the world we live in. And I think that this kind of stuff is only going to matter to the people who care.
Yeah.
For the people who are so caught up in convenience and instant gratification and everything else, they might hear it and be like, nah, that's okay. This is what's this. I like the taste. I like the way, you know,
It's quick.
yeah, I like that it's convenient. Um, that I think is priority in some people's in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so I think that for us, we are creating one, we're becoming aware ourselves. And secondly, I hope that we are creating awareness for others to where more people can start making a noise about this. Things it may be a little more inconvenient to make these things at home. But if you think about it, people have been thriving and doing well for thousands and thousands of years without these convenience foods. It may have been harder. We may go through seasons of plenty and seasons of not so plenty. Um, and I think that we're just so used to everything always being there when we need it.
Oh.
Really, we need to kind of get back to being more responsible for ourselves, what we're putting in our bodies, what we're growing, what we're putting into the soil, because at the end of the day, convenience, instant gratification, all these things are going to prove to be really harmful. They are
Mhm.
proving harmful.
I think it boils down to we have no value or appreciation for actual life
Yeah.
because
I-
we are in such the hustle and bustle and the rat race, right?
Yeah.
Who do you know actually, if you ain't got a shit ton of money, who do you know actually can sit down and just appreciate what's around them? Nobody has time for that anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
You know, I lived in Europe, and the lifestyle was about the value of life there. You know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, they didn't stress and they didn't worry, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't live to work, they just, you know, work to live or whatever the saying is, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we have forgotten what our actual necessities are, you know, to get by.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What if you took that moment to make that together with people you cared about? That was
Yeah.
something that wasn't so full of things that we don't need to be eating. You know, that's
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
a whole different way to look at it.
Well, and I think one of the things too that's interesting about that is, you know, I am a loud and proud American. I'm so proud and thankful to live in America. I think that America is losing sight of some things right now. And there's a lot of people who are just kind of in wearing rose-colored glasses.
Mhm.
But we are proud Americans, and I love the American spirit. I love America. But I think
You're
that we do
you're the girl at the rodeo with the flag, man.
yes.
She is riding the Palomino with her hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I think that, you know, what's interesting is that in order to kind of like buck the system and live like in a true, when I think of like American spirit, if you were to do that nowadays, that would be viewed as like so outlandish.
Mhm.
Like when I think of even what we're doing, when I'm telling my family back home, they're kind of like, I don't know how you're doing that. And while it does come with its own set of challenges, we are like I tell my kids all the time, can you imagine when you get older and you get to tell your wife and your children or your husband and your children about the times that we're living through right now and
Yeah.
how we sold it all, we caravanned west, we're living rough on our land, we're going to build our own house with our own hands, and we're doing that. And like, not everybody wants to do it that way, but I feel like, if you are growing your own food and you are making your own soap, you are doing this, you're doing that, you're doing things that you're making it on your own, and not just going to the store and buying everything. People view that and they're like, how do you even do that? How can you even do
Yeah.
that? Really, it's
You're
just like,
weird.
yeah, yeah. When it's like, what? No, people did this for all these years, for
Right.
so long, until just in the
Dude,
last maybe years, that's changed.
dude, it's not, people scared of UFOs and aliens and all this shit. It's not them killing us, man. We're killing ourselves and killing each other. It's human race.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's like I'm not scared of a fucking green 100-eyed person coming at me. I'm scared of the man up the road.
Right. Right.
Yeah. 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 Well, I think that if people can just, I feel like with all of this, it can create, for me, I am a person that's I teeter on the edge of like high anxiety at times. And I feel like the more and more we are researching this stuff, some of it to me is like, oh my God, we can't do that. Like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got things out of our house. And I think though, instead of viewing it and having that sense of paranoia, just saying, okay, we're aware of this now. What is our solution going to be? Just like you were saying, Laura, like, what now? What is going to be our next step in kind of counterbalancing this?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What steps are we take?
I think we talked about that before. We're not doing this to scare nobody.
No,
This is
no.
not a scare tactic. This is not
No.
a whatever. This is just, we have been pushed, we have been blinded. This is kind of taking off the blinders to where you can actually see what a real true beautiful life could be that you live in and that you intake, and that you put out in the world.
Mhm.
It's not about, being scared to death to go to the grocery store. It's just being more aware of what you are getting at your grocery store.
Yeah,
Well, I think our society thrives on fear right now.
it does.
Be it politics or news or whatever it is. Fear is what drives America largely. And I think, like you just said, Molly, to let's just offer a different approach. What if it's not about being afraid or in fear, but how you can figure out what works for you and how you can take control of your health and your food and your choices with money. I think that's all we're saying. And the funny part about all this is we never set out for this. This found
No,
us. And it's
no,
all these things that,
we
yeah,
started talking about baby pigs and
yeah,
farrowing and
yeah. And
we were
how do we
talking
do
about
that?
we were just talking about those things, and now here we are talking about actual like world problems,
Right.
but I think it's also what I hope that it does is that it gives people a different view, and just like when a new product comes out and you take the risk of buying that new product to see if you like it or not, or to see what it tastes like. How about taking the risk on something that is natural? How about
Right.
taking the risk and see what that does for you?
Right. And that was a thought that I had because I know I'm a farmer, but ultimately I'm a serial entrepreneur. That I mean, Bill and I both are at the end of the day. I think we're up to like 8 different things we're involved in at this point. And it is an opportunity, for the food entrepreneur that can figure this out.
Yes,
There's definitely a pathway and in something forming that automatically sets you apart from the biggest competition out there.
yes, yes, it does. So, what y'all think about today? Any last words?
I think I'm okay. I mean, I feel like we've covered it all. I would just say if anybody has a topic they want us to learn more about, reach out to us and let us know. We're game. We'll do our research and throw it out here, and keep moving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think with it all, excuse me. I think the biggest thing is just like we were saying, our we're not fear mongering and just trying to empower people to make better choices. And even though life is busy, there are still little things that you can do. Even if you can't cut it all out, there are still some things that you can do to limit the amount of harmful ingredients you're consuming. And so I think this is one of those things, like when you are trying to live a clean lifestyle where it's like you're trying to get rid of harsh chemicals and, you know, foods that you don't agree with and this and that. You can't, it's really hard to just rip the band-aid off and do it all at
You
once.
can't, right? You can't, that's not sustainable.
It's not. And so I think that if you can find ways of just making better choices daily and feeling more empowered in the choices that you're making, eventually you'll get there. And I hope that's what we can help people see and realize, is just to be an encouragement, make you aware of the situation and encourage you if you're feeling the pull to uh, change some things up. Don't feel like you have to do it overnight. Little by little is good.
Yep. All
Yeah.
right. Well, how about y'all go feed them damn hogs and them churros?
Okay. Bye.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye. Love y'all.
Love you.
Bye.
See you.